Hey babes, it's Indy Bindy here, and by the title of this video, y'all already know what we're about to get into. Today's video is sponsored by Wavy Hair. They support self-expression and are passionate about being bold and staying wavy. Let's start off by using some heat protectant and a blow dryer brush to stretch my hair and prep it for the braids. My hair is freshly washed and conditioned, and I'm using a microfiber towel to dry it off a bit before going in with my blow dryer brush. I love using this blow dryer brush because it's low-key better than an actual blow dryer for me when it comes to doing DIY styles. After stretching my hair, it's time to get into pre-parting. The size that I'll be doing today is medium, which has 7 rows in total, and my favorite way to make sure that all of these rows are even is to pre-part them out. Pre-parting is just creating those horizontal rows in advance to make the installation process faster. It helps you find a better rhythm when braiding so that you don't have to keep stopping to carve out the rows. To hold my pre-parts in place, I'm cornrowing my rows across, but if you're not really into cornrowing, you can always use some clips. As I go upward, I part out one half of my head to help get my rows even. Once I part all the way upward, I then match the other half. Do you guys like my cup? Super cute. By this point, I had 4 rows so far and 3 rows left. To part out these last 3 rows, I braid down the top middle row and then split the remaining section in half to form the last 2 rows. The top sections of your rows should start to form a U shape to match the round shape of your head. Here I noticed that toward the front I didn't have a lot of space left to create those last 2 rows, so I went back in and made the front of the row slightly smaller to accommodate the space. Once that side is done, match the other side to the rows that you created. I'm using the colors 27 and 613 to get a beautiful honey blonde color that's perfect for any season. For my braiding hair, I'm using SM30/27 and Rua braiding hair and 613 and Free Tress braiding hair. I'm mixing these two colors together to get a blend that is similar to the human hair that we're using. I'm also stretching their hair out to get rid of any blunt ends, and I'm doing the same for both bundles and then combining them. To finish off my prepping stage, I'm separating my hair on my braiding rack. I'm doing one side braiding hair and one side boho hair. I did get this rack from Joann's Fabric and I love it. I painted it pink, I set it up, it's so good. Of course, I'll have it linked for you guys. And I'm kind of just grabbing a little bit of each color for my boho curls because I wanted that highlighted look. Alright, let's get into the install. I'm taking out my first row and I'm going to part out 4 boxes. Starting on my very first braid, I'm splitting my hair into 3 sections and I'm braiding down 1 rotation before adding in my first piece of braiding hair. I like to add a couple of pieces of braiding hair before adding in my boho curls to build up the size of my braid. If you want a slow down version of how I install my knotless braids and hold my hand positioning, check out this video right here in the cards. I added my boho curl with the curl side way longer, braid down a bit, and then pull the curl up and out of the way to hang out of the braid. Once I get down to the bottom, right here I've added 3 pieces. I do add an extra 2 pieces at the end. In total, I'm adding about 5 or 6 boho pieces and I'm tying a small knot to hold everything together. Row number 1 is now complete. Now we move on to row number 2. You want to stagger or bricklayer your boxes to make your braids look fuller and less scalpy. To do this, I make sure that my braids in the row above fall down to cover the parts below. You don't want your boxes to directly line up on top of each other. Every time you go up a row, you want to alternate between having a box directly in the middle of the row and having a part directly in the middle of the row. You'll see a little bit more of what I mean as we continue forward. Special cameo from my man. I tend to switch between overhand and underhand when doing my DIY braids because it makes it easier to reach certain parts of my head. And to learn the difference, check out this video right here. But I usually use overhand to get in the middle of my head. After braiding down overhand, I flip the braid around and then braid down facing the other way. Alright, row number 2 is now complete with 9 braids in total. From here on out, it's about following the pattern that you've created and layering your boxes staggered to the row beneath it. Boom, row number 3 has 10 braids. As you go upward, you'll notice that the number of boxes increase. That's because you're on the crown of your head, and those will be the rows with the longest circumference. When I get to my edges, I like to leave out some baby hair to swoop, so I make sure to pull those out. And just like that, row number 4 has 13 braids. The braids start to look full here, and it finally feels like there's light at the end of the tunnel, lol. This was on day 2, and believe it or not, I like to split up my DIY sessions into multiple days to keep my sanity, so I usually complete a few couple hour sessions until I'm finished, and I wear a hat or a scarf to hide the top. Row number 5 is now done with 12 braids in total. Once you get to row number 6, that middle braid will form a trapezoid. The top of your box will be more narrow than the bottom to allow the row to curve with the shape of your head. Once finished, row number 6 has 13 braids in total. Now we are finally to that last row, and yes, another day has gone by, which is why my outfits change. Once I get to this last section, my boxes are back to normal squares and it's pretty straightforward from here. At this point, I don't bricklayer these boxes, I line them up evenly to make each side match. You also want to make sure that your part is directly in the middle of your head, and a tip that I use is to line up my comb with the middle of my nose. I like to add a piece of boho hair to the very top of my braids that frame my face, so I have a cute little curl there. So I'm adding in that boho hair a lot sooner than I did for all of the other braids. The very last row, row number 7, has 10 braids. And just like that, we are done with our knotless boho install. I like to dip my braids in hot water to seal the ends, so I move the curls out of the way and dip them. This is also kind of optional. I just don't like how stiff the braids are before dipping, so I go ahead and dip them anyways. Last but not least, I like to add a little bit of mousse to my hair to lock in moisture, and it also just feels really good and relaxing after 3 whole days of braiding. And then I also scrunch my curls to add the texture and the curl back because, you know, once hair is wet, it kind of straightens up a bit. And we are finally done with our knotless braid install. If you guys made it to the end of this video, let me know down below in the comments. I love hearing about when you guys braid your own hair and your progress on your DIY journey. So chat with me down below. I'd love to hear from you. If this video was helpful, do not forget to give it a thumbs up to help all of the other DIY girlies out there, and make sure you're subscribed for more videos like this one. If you want to check out more braiding tutorials, watch this playlist here.